Hello and welcome everybody. We're going to get started here shortly. I just want to give everyone a chance to join in for some of the stragglers who might be grabbing their lunch or refilling their coffee. But while we wait, I figured I'd pose a question to the audience just to kind of get us started. Nothing too serious, just a fun poll because if you're in Texas, the summer has started. It's been, I think we're on day 9 of over 100 degrees in a row. So the question is, if you could choose only one, what sort of summer activity would you choose? So if you could only choose one vacation for the summer, would you go to the beach? Would you go to the lake? Would you like to go hiking or camping? Or maybe you're a theme park person. There's a Six Flags about an hour south of me that growing up we would always have summer passes for. Alrighty, those results are coming in. Yeah. And I'm kind of have a similar feeling as the results. So let's go ahead and post those. Interesting. So 62% of the audience here would prefer to go to the beach, and I fall in that same camp. That's, you know, if you're going to be able to go on a vacation and get away, especially if you're not a person who lives near a coast, the beach is definitely the way to go. Just a lot more fun things to do. 0% with the theme park. I guess we don't have any big Disney fans, or maybe that's not quite there yet. I haven't been to a theme park in quite a while. Okay, so it looks like we've got some people trickling in. But we can go ahead and get started. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. And welcome to today's discussion, 5 expert SEO tips to help your ranking in local search. I am your host and digital marketing evangelist, Justin Meredith, and I am absolutely thrilled about today's topic. We have some amazing and actionable tips and best practices for all of you today, so be sure you stick around until the end. But before I bring in our guest speaker, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping things. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the Q&A box. It's located on the right side of your screen. It should just say questions right there. You can type it in and we'll see it and we'll try to get to it. I want this to be a super interactive discussion with everyone here because I want to make sure that we can provide as much value to you, the audience, as we can. So comment your thoughts in the chat, ask some questions in the Q&A. No questions are too small, and we'll try to get to as many as possible. Also, we are blocking off time for the end of the presentation for a Q&A session. So if we're not able to get to your question, like maybe you ask one in the next 10 minutes, we might get to it at the end. So be sure you stick around, and we'll try to get to everything that we can. Alrighty, now it is my pleasure to introduce to you today's guest speaker. Join me in welcoming Erika Taylor Montgomery. She is the CEO and the founder of 3 Girls Media Inc., which was founded in 2005. And 3 Girls Media is a personalized PR and custom content marketing agency located in the Seattle area. The firm specializes in working with small and mid-sized companies around the world. And just this year, Erika has been named Best Female Marketing and PR CEO by M&A Magazine, and also the Best Female Marketing and PR CEO of the Year by Global 100. And actually, as of yesterday, I saw this on LinkedIn, Erika, that you were featured as one of the 10 most innovative CEOs to follow in 2022 by Success Pictures. Erika, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Hey, Justin, I'm terrific. Thank you so much. I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm great, and I'm super excited about today, and we're going to dive right in. But first, can you tell us a little bit about 3 Girls Media and some of the things that you guys have going on over there?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, we are a full service marketing and public relations agency, and we really focus on content marketing, including blogging for search engine optimization, social media management, email marketing, digital advertising, those kinds of things. And our other specialty is PR and media relations, as well as website design and build with a focus on SEO. And we do some graphic design as well. We work with companies of all shapes, sizes, and industries, and you can check us out online at 3girlsmedia.com.
That's incredible. Well, I'm really excited about this, and I think a good place to start is to talk about the impact that a strong SEO strategy can have on a business and the value of showing up on that first page of Google. Because I think that that's probably the most valuable real estate on the internet. I mean, I was just reading while I was doing research for this discussion, I came across a stat saying that only 25% of people ever click past the first page of Google. And to me, that even seems a little high because I couldn't even tell you the last time I clicked to the second page of Google. I don't know why. It's something in my brain. It's just like the first page is where the real answers are, and then everything on the second and beyond just aren't correct. Maybe, I don't know. It's in my brain. But if you really want to see big time results online, you've got to find a way to rank on that first page. And fortunately, there are a ton of ways for people to improve their search ranking, but also maybe unfortunately, there are so many ways that it could be a little overwhelming and daunting to figure out where to even begin. But that's why we're here. So it's because we want to talk about what works, what doesn't, and how to develop a solid online strategy. So Erika, my first question for you is, when you meet with a client for the first time and they're inquiring about developing their online presence, their reputation, SEO, etc., what are some of the first things that you look for? Or I guess maybe what are some of the first questions you ask them when you're trying to gauge where they're at?
Yeah, well, I like to start at the absolute basics, which are, do you understand what SEO is? I find that a lot of people have heard the word, they know that they should be doing something about it for their business, but not a lot of people have a really thorough understanding of what SEO really means and how they should implement it. So I always ask, what do you know about SEO? And just start there. And then once we figure out their level of understanding, I like to ask them more specific questions like, is your front end SEO complete on your website? Meaning, what keywords are you using? And what density or frequency? And then, is your back end SEO complete? Things like meta tags, excerpts, tags, your file naming convention and photo naming convention. Are you geotagging if that's important for your business? I also always ask them, are they blogging and or in some other way posting new content to their website? And if they are, is it long form? And long form these days is about 24 to 2,500 words. And then I also always like to find out whether or not they have a Google My Business page and they've claimed their listing. So I think that's sort of the top level questions that we start with in terms of an SEO discussion.
Interesting. And I think that's a really interesting way to begin. It's really kind of just trying to get a base understanding of like, what do you know? Like we're trying to help you with their SEO, but what do you know about it first? Like where are you? We're trying to get an idea of where you're at so that we can help you the best way that we can. So let's get started with our tips. And the first tip of the day is to build out your Google business profile. And this is actually one that I've talked a lot about with other SEO experts and thought leaders in previous webinars, and it's one that can't be said enough. So Erika, what is the importance of having a Google business profile or a Google My Business profile?
Well, Justin, I'm going to hit you with a statistic that, frankly, I find shocking, and that is that 56% of local businesses have not claimed their Google My Business listing, which blows my mind. And
That's
then
crazy.
82% of businesses haven't claimed their Bing business listing. So I cannot tell you how important it is to claim your listing and to optimize it. So Google actually prioritizes search results for companies that have a Google My Business profile. And Google actually prioritizes search results for companies that regularly post to their Google My Business profile even further. So it's not enough just to say, okay, I've claimed my listing. You actually have to complete your listing, make sure that it's optimized for the search engines, and then you have to post to it regularly. And a complete GMB or Google My Business profile gives people who are searching for your business or companies like yours all the basic information about your business at a glance. It'll give them your website, your phone number, your hours of operation, a brief description of your business, and more. And also, it's a very convenient place for your happy customers to leave reviews about your business, which is something else that Google actually takes into account in search engine rankings.
That's interesting. And the way that I kind of think about a Google My Business or Google Business Profile. I can't remember which one is the real name right now. I think they're in the process of changing it, as always with Google. They're always updating. But I tend to think of it as this is your digital storefront. It's where I just imagine almost a digital strip center, and you're walking past all these stores and their windows and stuff. And that's the same thing as when you're on Google and you're looking at different businesses for what specific product or service you're looking for. And it's absolutely vital to have a good first impression, or to make a good first impression. And that's with photos and correct information and all kinds of great stuff that I think you're about to jump into. So if you already have a profile set up, what are some things that businesses should be doing in order to maximize that profile's effectiveness?
Yeah, so I think it's so important to make sure that your business listing is actually up to date and current. My recommendation is that you should review it at least once a quarter. And so you can set a reminder on your calendar for the beginning of every 3 months to do a 5-minute review of your listing and make sure your hours are correct, that you've got the most recent pictures for your business up there, that your description is still thorough, that the keywords you're using are still relevant, and just give it a quick refresh if necessary. And then the other thing that I really highly recommend, and people tend to overlook this, is to actually post to your Google My Business site at least once or twice a week. It doesn't have to be a blog you're writing on your Google My Business profile. It doesn't have to be long form. You can think of it more like a social media post, something short and sweet that talks about your services or your products, or behind the scenes look at your business, that just lets people know that you're out there, you're active, and more importantly, you're letting Google know you're out there and active. And then the other thing is reviews, reviews, reviews. I cannot say it enough. You should actively be asking your current clients and your previous clients to leave you reviews on Google My Business. They make it very easy for you. They provide you a custom link that you can simply email to your clients and say, click on the link and leave me a review. It's that easy.
Interesting. And I kind of want to dive into Google reviews a little bit more. So from your experience, how important is it for a local business to not only generate more reviews, but to manage them entirely, which includes responding to them and making sure that, let's say if there's a negative review, that that person's getting taken care of, and just making sure that you get enough of them, because they are important. So what
Oh my
from your
gosh. Yeah.
experience?
Yeah, they are so important. In fact, businesses with online reviews are actually trusted by 73% of consumers. So if you don't have reviews on your Google My Business page, it's telling not only the search engines, but consumers that you are not trustworthy. So that's why they're so important. So again, you should regularly ask your happy clients, past and present, for Google reviews. And those reviews are really a strong signal to Google that your business is trustworthy, that people think that you're doing a good job, that it's a business that Google should recommend to people who are searching for companies like yours. And then, Justin, as you mentioned, when you get a review, responding is critically important. And it doesn't matter whether the review is negative or positive, you really need to respond. And again, it doesn't need to be a novel you're writing in response here. It could be as simple as, thanks so much, we love working with you. Or if it's an unhappy person that is dissatisfied for some reason, simply addressing it and trying to make it right, or acknowledging the fact that they had an unpleasant experience and offering them maybe a discount on their next purchase, or a refund, or whatever is appropriate for your particular business, shows not only other people who may be reading that negative review that your business genuinely cares and tried to make it right, but it's also a signal to Google that you're participating with your customers in that response. So responding is a must, and you shouldn't let it go a long time. If somebody writes you a review, you should really try to respond within 24 hours.
Definitely. Yeah, and this is something that I've covered just a ton about in other webinars as well. And it just seems to make sense when you think about it. Like if you're searching on Google for best burgers near me, and let's say, there's a restaurant near you, they've got 200 reviews, mostly really good, but there's a couple of negatives, but you see that the business responded to those negative ones. And something that you said earlier that stuck with me was Google wants to show that you are a trustworthy business, and you have to prove that you are trustworthy. And that's the key word for me, is trustworthy. And I think that's a big part of just your presence on Google in general, is developing trust with Google and with your potential customers. And I think having those reviews, one, from other people, shows like, okay, I can trust that this is a legitimate business. And then I can also trust that this company actually cares about their customers. So like, because everybody gets it, like you're gonna have a bad day and maybe someone got their order wrong or whatever it may be. But if they were to jump quickly to it within 24 hours and stay on top of it, then that shows in the mind of the next customer looking at the reviews like, oh wow, like okay, their order wasn't right, but at least they try to make it right, or they showed an effort that they really do care. And
It's exactly right.
yeah, and exactly. And so, and also I wanted to let everyone here know that Birdeye has an awesome, really, really cool partnership with Google, especially with their private API for reviews. Essentially, Birdeye Reviews connects to your CRM or equivalent system, and it sends out automatic review requests to your customers right after an appointment or purchase. And that means no more feeling awkward constantly asking your customers for reviews. Like, I mean, I worked in a food truck down here in Austin, we sold barbecue, and I worked there for like 3 years over the weekends, and it was the worst. I'd always have to be like, well, can you leave a review? And like, it was so weird because it was so fast within, like they haven't even eaten the food yet. So it was hard for me to be like, well, can you review us after you eat? It was just weird. And I wish that we had something like Birdeye where as soon as we finished the transaction, they would get a text, because it was through the Square app and like, anything like that, and they would just get a text. It'd be one click, leave your review, click submit, and it's there. And the reason why it's there immediately as soon as a customer hits submit is because of that direct integration we have with Google's private API. But that's not even all that it does. We also allow you to respond to reviews, and which, as we just talked about, is absolutely crucial when managing your online reputation. But really for me, my favorite part about all of this is that it doesn't matter how many locations you have. You can have 500 locations across the entire country. Let's say you're like a McDonald's. You can manage all of the reviews. You can send review requests out from Birdeye all in one dashboard for all of your locations. You can respond to all of the reviews from all of your locations in one dashboard without having to log into multiple different Google profiles and all that stuff. Where it could take hours, it just takes a few minutes, and it can all be automated. You can have automated review responses and review requests. So it can all be done without having to lift a finger. And you can create different templates so that it's personalized and it doesn't come off like a robotic response, which is just insane. So if you have like a ton of locations and you've got a ton of reviews coming in, it takes the entire weight of everything off your shoulders. I did a webinar a couple of months ago with someone from Strickland Brothers Oil Change, and I think they've received 16,000 reviews in the last 2 years, and they only needed one person to handle all of it. It was awesome. And during the webinar, I was asking her, I was like, so who's on your team? Who's helping you? And she goes, it's just me. I was like, that's pretty cool. But let's keep going. I want to keep the train moving forward. So let's go on to tip number 2. Choose your keywords wisely. And whenever I think of SEO, the first thing that comes to mind is keywords. And I also know that keywords can do extraordinary things for your search ranking on Google, but it can also really hurt you if you do it incorrectly. So Erika, let's start with the basics of keywords and then talk about ways to use them in the best way possible for local search.
Yeah, absolutely. So I find that this is another topic that there's a lot of confusion around. A lot of people may have heard of keywords, but maybe they're not exactly sure what a good keyword is. And the thing that Google is looking for in keywords has definitely changed over the last couple of years. So in their most simple form, keywords are simply ideas or topics that are relevant to the subject matter that you're writing about that will help people find your content. And another way you can look at them is that they're phrases or groupings of words that people enter into search engines. So when you go to Google and do a search, what words or phrase do you enter into Google to find what you're looking for? That is a keyword phrase, or otherwise known these days by Google as a keyword cluster. And one thing I mentioned that has changed is how Google looks at keywords. It used to be that you could use a single word. For example, Justin, you mentioned cheeseburger, so I'm going to stick with that topic. Who doesn't want a good cheeseburger? So it used to be that you could just write a blog article about cheeseburgers, and by simply using the word cheeseburger repeatedly throughout your post, that was good enough. No longer. That single word keyword is out the window these days. Instead, what Google is really prioritizing, again, are keyword clusters. And it's interesting to know that 50% of all organic search queries on Google include 4 or more words. So this is particularly important for websites that aren't making the most of what we call long tail keywords, which are keyword phrases that have 4 or more words in them. It's really important for website traffic, and using those clusters of 4 or more words is a keyword phrase also have a higher conversion rate than general search queries. So how should you use keywords? You can add them to blog articles. You can use them on social media. You can use them throughout the pages on your website. Those are all absolutely critical for getting views. And again, those long tail keywords, ones that are groupings of 4 or more words, encourage higher click-through rates, or otherwise known as CTR. And it's also interesting to know, another little statistic that I'll throw out there for you is that long tail keyword searches actually enjoy a 3 to 5% higher click-through rate in organic search results than search titles with only 1 or 2 words. So again, using more words than fewer is important. How do you know if the keywords you're choosing are going to be good ones, or are they relevant? I like to use what I have deemed the Google test. And the Google test is something really easy to remember. They're simply phrases that you would put into a search engine, again, if you were looking for information on that topic. So they're groups of keywords that represent searches with a similar intent when it comes to keyword clusters or groupings of keywords. So let's use an example, again, getting back to cheeseburgers. So if I wanted to find cheeseburgers where I'm located, which is in the Seattle area, I could type a variety of things into Google. I might type the best cheeseburgers in Seattle, or burger restaurants near me, or places to get cheeseburgers in the Puget Sound, or local burger restaurants. Those are all perfect keyword clusters, and they're realistic searches that would pass the Google test. They're phrases that a large majority of people would likely use when they're searching for cheeseburgers in the Seattle area. Now, it's important that in your content, let's say your blogs, for example, that you don't choose just one of those phrases. You don't only want to use best cheeseburgers in Seattle. In fact, you want to use 3 to 5 keyword phrases. So again, those best cheeseburgers in Seattle, burger restaurants near me, places to get burgers in the Puget Sound, local burger restaurants. You should use them all interchangeably throughout your content, throughout your blog articles. the search engine with Google, the algorithm now is smart enough to detect that those phrases are all related to each other. So if somebody is searching for information on cheeseburgers in Seattle, its chances are your article is going to come up if you use that variety of phrases. Something else that you should keep in mind is that you can always look at your competitors' websites and see what they're using for keywords. Chances are, if they're using the same type of keywords repeatedly throughout their website or throughout their blog articles, you may want to consider using the same to compete against them in search rankings.
Interesting. And we actually got a question that was kind of related, and this is more so with the Google My Business or Google Business Profile. And this is actually something I think you might be able to help out with just because of your business, is can I or should I create a Google profile for a business that is nationwide rather than local, such as a consultant who specializes in ethics consulting for hospitals nationwide? So what would your approach with when it comes to the business profiles would that be?
Horrific question. And the answer is absolutely yes. Three Girls Media, for example, works with clients nationwide and even internationally. And we have a Google My Business listing. For the same reason, if your description is optimized with the right keywords, then Google is going to recognize that and pull it up in search results. So if you are an accountant and you can work with clients nationwide, or a company like Three Girls that does content creation and PR and can work with companies in a large area, having that Google My Business listing is just as relevant as having one that's local. So absolutely claim and baby your listing.
Awesome. Well, let's keep moving. And you touched on this a little bit about blogging, and that's for tip number 3. And let me see if I can get this slide. There we go. And the tip isn't quite so much a tip itself, but this is just I think you and I are about to break down some blogging best practices. So in regards to blogs, what are some ways that local businesses can ensure that they maximize their potential? How can they get the most out of their blogs?
Yeah. So first of all, you need to know that Google loves sites that are regularly updated. They just love it. In fact, regular content creation on your website will improve your search results by more than 434%. That's crazy. So when I say that regular blog posting can boost your SEO, I am not joking. So here are some tips to keep in mind when it comes to posting that regular content on your website. Consistency is absolutely key. And when I say consistency, I mean posting at the same day, the same time, every single time. So say, for example, you would have blog articles going live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. like clockwork. You would have them pre-scheduled and your website would automatically take them live at that interval. And if you start to do that regularly for a period of time, you can actually train Google's search bots to come back to your site at those intervals and index your new content. The AI is so intelligent with Google. So that's why posting those regular days, regular times is so important. If you're posting, 1 week, Monday at 10, another week, Thursday at 4, the following week, Wednesday at noon, Google's going to be confused. It's not going to know when to look for new content on your website. So it's not going to regularly come back to look for that new content. You're simply confusing the search engine. So that regularity, same day, same time, no matter how frequently you're blogging, is key. So even if you're only blogging once a month, doing it, the first Monday of the month at 10 a.m. or whatever interval you choose is absolutely critical. The other thing that I think is really going to surprise a lot of people who are with us today is how long your blog articles really need to be to make Google happy. It used to be several years ago that a blog post that was 300 to 500 2,500 words was perfectly acceptable. And then Google said, actually, we are looking for content that's a little bit longer, and something in the 700 to 1,000 word range was okay. But now in 2022, Google is prioritizing very long content, and they're looking for long form posts that are between 24 and 2,500 words. And here's another statistic that might blow your mind. The average page one result on Google contains nearly 1,900 words. That's on average. So again, you want your blog post to be between 24 and 2,500 words. Now, if it's 26, you're not going to get penalized. So, you don't have to freak out. Or if it's, 2,395, it's not going to penalize you. But just as an average rule of thumb, 24 to 2,500 words is really what you want to shoot for. And then if you happen to have a WordPress website, there's a wonderful tool that you can employ on your website called Yoast SEO. Yoast SEO. There's a free version of Yoast. It's a plugin for WordPress that you can download. And there's also a paid version. I believe the paid version is $99 for an annual subscription. And even though the free version will be a leg up from what you just have naturally through a WordPress website in terms of what you can enter in backend SEO, the free version is definitely a leg up, but the paid version is remarkable. It has so many more fields of data that you can enter to tell the search engines what your post is about, that I think it's well worth it. So, and I've got no affiliation to Yoast or anything like that. It's just a tool that I use when we build websites. We always employ the professional Yoast subscription, and I really think it's worth its weight in gold.
That's amazing. So I think an old friend of blogs is keywords. And you talked a little bit about word count, but what about the keywords themselves? How do keywords play a role in blogs?
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about what a good keyword is and this concept of keyword clustering, and that you should use these keyword clusters throughout your blog article. But it's not enough just to include those keyword clusters throughout the text of your post. There are some other specific areas that you should be including those keyword phrases. So number one is in your title of your blog. Your title of your blog should definitely have a strong keyword phrase. There's actually a tool by CoSchedule. They have a free headline analyzer. You can simply do a Google search for CoSchedule headline analyzer and it'll come up for you. It's this fabulous free tool where you can type in a headline for your blog article and it will give you a score from 0 to 100 and tell you how good your title is. And then you can play with it to get a higher score. I generally don't like to publish blog articles that have anything less than a 65. So if you can hit 65 or above, you're in good shape. And then the other place to include your keyword phrases are in your headlines, or subheadlines for each section of your post. You should think of the sections of your post as mini chapters in a book, and each one of them should have a unique headline of itself that introduces that particular chapter or topic that you're rolling into for your blog article. Another place to include those keyword phrases are in image captions. So when you have images in your blog articles, you want to make sure that you always include a caption if your website will allow you to do that, and make sure that your caption includes a keyword phrase. And then in the body of your post, you want to use one of those phrases about every 100 words or so. It is not a good idea to throw in the keyword as many times as you possibly can just for the sake of having it in your post. That's actually something called keyword stuffing, and the Google algorithm is smart enough to know you're doing that, and it will actually penalize you for it. So again, every 100 words or so is appropriate. That's enough. Um, and then on the back end of your website, you always want to make sure that you're including keywords in your meta description, in your excerpt as well, and also in your file names for your images or videos. So if you're including images or videos in your post, not only include a caption, but also in the file name. When you actually save that image to your computer or video to your computer, save it with a file name that has a keyword in it. And then you also want to make sure in your post, and this isn't keyword related specifically, but it's something that the search engines like Google actually look for, is having relevant inbound and outbound hyperlinks. So what does that mean? An inbound hyperlink is simply a link in your post that goes to other content on your website. So say, for example, at the end of your blog post, you could have, want more information on where to find the best cheeseburgers in Seattle? Contact us today. That contact us that goes to another page in your website is considered an inbound link. So you should always include a few inbound links to other relevant content, either on your website or in other blog articles. And then you also want to include outbound links, which are links to other websites that are relevant to the topics in your blog article. So maybe if you're writing a post about those best cheeseburgers in Seattle, you want to link to a few restaurants that serve great cheeseburgers in the area. Those are considered outbound links. And you want to make sure that those outbound links have something that are called good domain authority. Domain authority is essentially a way that Google can determine a website is trustworthy. And there are tools that you can use. You can simply do a Google search for domain authority checker on Google. There are free ones out there, and it will tell you what the domain authority or trustworthiness of a website is. We like to only link to other sites that have at least a 42 to 45 or above for domain authority. So those are some things to keep in mind when you're blogging and using keywords and links in your website.
Amazing. And so with that, I want to let everyone know to please ask me or ask us questions in the Q&A, whether it's about keywords, blogging, or anything like that. And before we jump into the next tip, I want to do another poll, and this is to help me get an idea of where we're at in terms of the audience. And so the question is your business currently active on social media? And yes, we post regularly. Yes, we have accounts set up, but we hardly ever post, or no. And so I'll give everyone a minute to answer that. And also just a reminder, ask us questions. We're gonna have time at the end. I think we're doing pretty good on pace, so we should be able to get to them. Let's see, I've got one here. Glenn, I do see your question, and I was waiting to ask it out loud until we got to this next tip. And so once we get to that, I'll throw the question over to Erika. Okay. Awesome. We're seeing some really interesting results, some good results. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. I'm going to share that out. And it turns out that 88% of the audience here is on social media and they post regularly. And I think that that is amazing. I think that's something that is starting to, I don't know if that's almost indicative of the real world, because I feel like social media is still, or businesses are still catching on to it. But that means that this audience is just a group of rock stars who are way ahead of the game, because even though social media has been around for a while now, I feel like it's still relatively new to businesses and how they want to approach it. And I feel like there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, I ran social for 3 years at my previous company. And there was a lot that I had to help my bosses and stuff understand about social when it comes to using it for business and using it for marketing. So let's go on to tip number 4 and dive into this a little bit more, and that's social media and how to utilize it. So Erika, how does social media impact SEO, and what are some ways that you can use it to your advantage?
Yeah, great question. And there's a ton of information to unpack here. And believe it or not, social media does have an impact on your search engine optimization. Google can tell whether or not you have social media links embedded in your website. So I've actually seen a company that I was doing a consultation with just yesterday, and I visited their website to kind of do my research before our consultation, and I didn't see any social media links. So one of the questions that I had for her was, are you on social media? And she said, oh yeah, I've got a LinkedIn page and I've got a Facebook page. And I said, why aren't they on your website? You're missing out. How are people going to find you on social media if you're not linking to your platforms through your website? So that's the absolute basic thing that you should do. But in terms of optimizing your social media platforms for the search engines, there's actually a lot that you can do. So first of all, those keyword phrases or clusters that we were talking about, you can use them in your bio or about sections. So make sure that you have at least one really relevant keyword phrase in your bio or about sections. Now, I know that some of them are longer than others. Instagram, of course, you only have, a short little sentence that you can have for your bio, but make sure you've got a keyword in there. Other platforms like Facebook give you a ton of space, and you can actually write a really long about section that has several different keyword clusters in there. And then also, you regularly want to use your keyword clusters in your social media content, including your video captions. So if you're creating a video that's going to be on social media, you want to make sure it has captions for a few reasons. Not only is it a good ADA practice, but also probably you've experienced it yourself. A lot of people who are at work will watch videos on social media without the sound on. And so having a caption is critically important, and making sure that those captions are keyword rich is important as well. And then the other place is just in your post itself on social media. You want to use keywords. You can do that in a few different ways. You can use it either as a hashtag phrase for your keywords, or simply put it in the body of the post that you're creating. And as I mentioned about blogging, on social media, you should also include your keywords in the file names of your images and the file names of your videos that you share. So again, when you save those images and videos to your computer, save them with a keyword phrase in the title. And then something else I think a lot of people miss out on is actually cross-linking your social media profiles in order to grow your audience. So for example, in your Facebook About section, you can say, don't forget to also follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram, and provide your URL for or your handle, or your name or whatever is appropriate in your description of your listing. So don't forget to cross promote your social media profiles. And then I think a lot of you who may be more advanced with social media, more experienced with social media, which seems like a lot of you might be given the statistic in the poll, it's good to know that pages with videos on them are 53% more likely to be displayed on the first page of Google. So video content really is king on social media. There are some platforms today like TikTok that are only video, and we know how popular TikTok has gotten in the last couple of years, but it really goes across the board for any social media platform. Video is king. Also, you can add videos to your blog articles. and your email marketing. So let's say you create a video. It's great to use it on your social media channels, but also why not throw it in a blog article that's about that same topic, or share it in your email marketing campaign that's going out to customers or a relevant audience. One of the things that stops, I think, a lot of people from doing video is that they feel, well, I don't want to invest in a lot of professional equipment. I don't want to spend the money, but you really don't need to these days. Any modern smartphone is perfectly capable of taking fantastic video. All you need is a relatively modern smartphone, a little desktop tripod, and if you don't have natural good lighting in your space where you're recording, you can invest in something like a ring light that you can get on Amazon for about $25. A desktop tripod is about $10. So you're all in for about $35 in equipment between the tripod and the ring light. So it's not a lot of money to invest. And then the other thing is to make sure that your videos are 59 seconds or less. So what is the magic thing about 59? Well, on platforms like Instagram, your video will actually be cut off after 59 seconds. So if your video is 1 minute and 5 seconds long, those last few seconds of your video are actually going to get cut off by the platform. And let's face it, we all have short attention spans these days. So the shorter, the better. I like to keep videos between, 30 and 55 or so seconds. So we're not talking about having to, read a novel on camera or something like that. The other thing that I think stops a lot of people from doing video is that they feel they're not confident on camera and that they're not going to be able to do a video in one take. And they might not have any editing experience. And so they figure, well, I don't want to deal with having to edit. I don't know how to do it. I'm not technically savvy that way. And so that stops them. There's actually some really terrific video editing software that is so user-friendly, a kindergartner could use it. So I'm going to give you 3 tools that are either free or very low cost that you can use for video editing that you literally need no video editing experience to use. The first is Boosted by Lightricks. Boosted by Lightricks. It's $60 for a lifetime subscription the last time I looked. You can upload your own video. They've got video templates. If any of you are familiar with using Canva to create graphics, Boosted is sort of video's answer to Canva. They've got a lot of wonderful templates that you can easily customize with captions, music, all kinds of things. So again, that's Boosted by Lightricks. And then there are 2 others that are free versions, and they also have a paid option. The first is Adobe Spark, and the third is Animoto. That's Animoto. Now, both Adobe Spark and Animoto, as I mentioned, have free versions, but they will have those companies' branding at the end of your video. So at the end of their video, they're going to throw up their own logo and maybe their website. You can pay a very small fee. I think it's something like around $5 a month for their paid version, and have their branding removed so you can insert your own branding for your company. So very worth it for the paid version, so you can put in your own logo, your own website, and those kinds of things. I would say the last thing that I find stops a lot of people from doing video is that they simply don't know what to say. They don't know what to create videos about. So I'm going to give you some suggestions for easy ways to come up with ideas for video content that you can use, again, in your blogs, on social media, in your email marketing. The first is simply to answer FAQs. I don't know about you guys, but I find myself when I'm talking to potential clients that I get the same questions over and over and over. You can turn each of those questions and answers into a separate video. So simply come up with a list of 10 different FAQs that you get asked commonly and make each one of them a video. Something else that's very easy to do is meet the team. I love to get to know people behind the scenes at the businesses that I'm doing business with. So go around the office one day and do a quick get to know whoever in the office place. Everyone from the receptionist to the CEO is fair game for meet the team videos. And you could have a standard list of maybe 3 questions that you could ask each person that give them a little insight into maybe what they like working, what they like about working with the company, or even fun questions like what are they planning on doing this summer, or what's the best book they could recommend. You can make it a lot of fun. Another is behind the scenes. A lot of us do business with companies that are far away, that aren't local, and that we don't actually get to visit in person. So it's always interesting to see the office space or the production floor area or whatever may be going on. So you can simply take your video camera and shoot behind the scenes at the office and kind of give people a tour of what's going on at your workplace. Another great idea for videos is to either introduce new products or services or simply talk about your current products and services. Take each product or each service that you offer and break that down into a single video. And then last but not least, you can certainly celebrate milestones. So everything from your company anniversary, here at Three Girls Media, we just celebrated our 17th anniversary in business a couple of weeks ago. So it's great to do videos about something like that. Maybe you've won an award, or maybe a executive in your business has gotten some kind of recognition or award. You could certainly do a video about that. So lots of different ideas for content. Hopefully that helps.
That's amazing. And that is so much to digest. And I'm excited. And I want to let everyone here know that we will have the recording available after this. And you'll get an email shortly, probably tomorrow, I believe, with a link to the recording. And while we were talking about social, we got a couple of comments that I wanted to bring up that I thought contributed nicely to the conversation. And one of those is you can upload your video to Facebook, and Facebook will create a downloadable caption file for you for free, which then could be uploaded to YouTube along with your video. So that, I'm not sure if that's a thing yet. I don't know, I haven't heard about it, but if that's true, then that's incredible. I also know that LinkedIn also will create captions for your videos as well. Erika, on the live stream that you and I had on Tuesday, as soon as it was over, I was rewatching it and I saw that we already had our captions going. Although they did spell Birdeye as Birdie, so it was a little bit off, but it was still close. And then we also had a question about Vidyard. And Vidyard is something that I have experience with. I've used it a ton, and it's a great tool to use. And they do have a caption generator as well. And we've used it for hosting on our website, where it was really cool because you could specify the CTA. So if once your video on your website's over and it's hosted by Vidyard, you can specify, or if you like this, you might be interested in XYZ, and you can specify those. So let's say you can use a video for, to get people in, and then you have a CTA to gated content, so you can capture their information and make them a lead. So Vidyard's a really cool tool. We use it more so internally here at Birdeye, but in previous experience, I've used it all over the place. And speaking of social, be sure to follow Birdeye on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. We post all kinds of great content. We try to gear everything that we post is to try to provide some sort of value to the audience. And we're not huge fans of just trying to hardcore sell all the time. I find that with these webinars is I want to provide as much education and value to the audience that way. So that's what we do on social. And we've been kicking off our live stream program. Erika, you and I were on a live stream on Tuesday where we were giving people tips on how to improve their SEO efforts and previewing this webinar. So be sure to check us out. It's just Birdeye, B-I-R-D-E-Y-E. but let's keep moving. We've only got a few more minutes, so I want to make sure we can get to everything. For tip number 5, optimizing your website. And this is our last tip of the day. So Erika, let's get into the details of what local businesses can do on their website to take it to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is length of content. We talked about the length of a blog post needing to be between 24 and 2,500 words or so. In terms of each individual page of your website outside of the blog, you should really shoot for about 300 words. And you can break that up into a variety of paragraphs, but it's important to have words on the page and make sure that those are keyword rich. Again, on your website, just like in your blog, it's ideal to include captions with your images and make sure that they've got keywords in them. Video is wonderful for your website as well. I love the suggestion about putting your videos on YouTube. Brilliant. It's important to know that YouTube is actually the second largest search engine behind Google. So take that video content and throw it up on YouTube, besides everywhere else we talked about, and embed video on your web pages whenever possible. So there are some factors to keep in mind about how Google ranks web pages and things that you should keep in mind for your website. So one is how long it takes for the biggest piece of content on a page to load. So if you've got a large image or a longer video, Google is going to look at that biggest piece of content and ask how long does it take to load. The quicker, the better. Also, Google pays attention to how long it takes your website to respond to user requests. So what is a user request? Let's say you're on your homepage and at the bottom, you've got a sentence that says, contact us for more information with a link to your contact us page. A click on that contact us page is simply a user request. It's a user requesting to go someplace else. And so how quickly that new page loads and responds is something that Google pays attention to. Another thing that a lot of people are surprised about Google and how it looks at websites is the layout shift. How many times does the actual design of your website change on a page? So you want to make sure that there aren't too many shifts of how the page is designed. It should be uncluttered. There should be plenty of white space on the page. You want to make it easy on the eye. You want ease of access either through a menu or a search bar. And if there are a lot of pages on your website that has a lot of tabs that won't easily fit in a simple menu bar, you can use a mega menu. A mega menu, I'm sure you've seen them on websites. There is that little icon that is like 3 lines stacked, kind of looks like a little hamburger. And when you click on it, a large menu of pages pops up. So that's a great way to set up your website if you've got a lot of pages. And then last, but certainly not least, mobile friendly. How many times do we find ourselves on the run looking at a website on our phones? Mobile is key these days. So you've got to make sure that your entire site is really optimized for mobile devices.
Amazing. And so we've got just a couple of minutes left, and I see a couple of questions have come in. So quickly, we will go through the final takeaways of the tips that we've covered today. And the first one is build out your Google business profile. It is absolutely crucial that you set up that digital storefront and you make that first impression that keeps your customers' attention and makes them want to go to your business versus your competitor. And if you have multiple locations, just a reminder that Birdeye allows you to manage all of your listings of all of your location of everything. Doesn't even have to just be Google. It could be Bing. It could be any online listing all in one place for all of your locations in one dashboard. I just wanted to harp on that one more time because it's a really cool thing, and I've seen it just absolutely transform people's work weeks, where it becomes just a little thing they check in the morning and not something that they have to, set their entire afternoons for. Utilize or optimize your keywords. Implement a blog strategy, and as a reminder, this is actually relating to a question that we're about to ask. Is that those long tail form blogs perform and rank better than the short form? and utilize social media, establish that online presence, and post video. Video is king, as you were saying, Erika, and it is so true. And then maximize your website's potential and make your website SEO friendly. Awesome. Okay, so let's for real quickly, we just have a little bit more time, and I wanted to ask a couple of questions for you. And the first one is from Katie, and she's asking, do keywords in social media captions impact SEO? Or could a tweet show up in a Google search? What exactly is the relationship in that way?
Yeah, absolutely, Katie. In fact, that's where hashtags come in on social media as well. Hashtags are essentially keywords on social media platforms. So you should use relevant hashtags with every single post. As a good rule of thumb, you want to use 2 to 3 hashtags on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. 25 to 30 on Instagram, and 5 to 7 per TikTok post. And then don't forget that using video on social media is going to go a long way towards your content being found as well.
Interesting. Awesome. I had no idea about that one. That was one that I've kind of thought about whenever we were going through. I was like, I wonder how keywords in like a caption could impact. So we have another one from Matthew, and he's asking, if you had to choose one or the other, would a 5,500 word blog would 500 word blogs or one 2,500 word blog be more effective?
No question, one 2,500 word blog, absolutely hands down. Google is smart enough to recognize that they are prioritizing quality over quantity, quality over quantity. And in Google's mind, quality means it's a long form post chock full of information that's really detailed, that's going to give somebody who's reading it a ton of information on the topic.
Awesome. And we actually just received one last one, and then after that, we'll let everybody know where they can find you, Erika. And do you find the death of the hashtag movement from Gen Z is impacting SEO on social media?
Yeah, great question. I don't. I think that the search engines and the platforms themselves, the social media platforms, still use hashtags as a way for people to search and find content. So I don't think they're really going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I use them all the time. I'm a big Twitter guy. That's where I live, and I always use hashtags and keywords to search for things, especially if I hear about something that's going on like right now, like real instantaneous world event stuff. I'll use hashtags to search for things. But it looks like that's all the questions that we've been asked today. And if anyone in the audience has any other questions, feel free to email us at any time at events@birdeye.com. Thank you, Erika, for your time. It was an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you on, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Can you go ahead and let the audience know where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me through our website. It's 3girlsmedia.com, the word 3 all spelled out, 3girlsmedia.com. You can email me at info@3girlsmedia.com. And then I also just want to throw out that we do offer a complimentary 30-minute consultation. So if you want to talk more in depth about SEO for your particular business, hit me up on our website for that consultation and we'll get it set up.
Amazing. And with that being said, thank you everyone here for joining, participating in the polls, and asking questions. The recording of the session will be made available on our website. And since you registered, you should be receiving an email within the next day or so. And we will see you again shortly. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.